Retribution. I've already done a segment today. I didn't think I'd do another one, but I seen where the Proud Boys and some more J6ers held a press conference today. Retribution. It's coming. Actually, some people would tell you it's here. We'll see how things play out in the future. Most of the people that are guilty of the atrocities against the J6 or hostages have been pardoned by President Biden. I'd still like to know all the accomplices. I still want to know the guilty party, whether we can throw them in jail or not. They can be sued. If you can't take their freedom, take their money. I was watching the press conference of the Proud Boys, and I don't know much about the Proud Boys. I didn't say I was a fan, although listening to their stories, I felt for them. What they were saying they were actually there at the Capitol that day to do had nothing to do with insurrection. How you doing, Jeff? So I'm watching this press conference, and I'm hearing how they were treated in prison and the atrocities put forth to them by our own government. How you doing, Doris? You have to sit back and wonder and ask yourself, and you don't want to believe it, but in America, a good portion of our government officials and the people that are under them. What's up, Rusty? How you doing, Ken? It's hard to believe that just because they're government employees, and they're going to use this term a lot in the coming days and months, because retribution is here. It's coming. That I was only doing my job. I was doing what my boss told me to do. If I didn't do it, I'd be out of a job. Isn't your integrity worth more than your job? Now, I know it's easy for me to say that because I wasn't put in that position. But I'd like to think that I would tell my boss to go fuck yourself. I'm not doing it. And then go and hold a press conference and be a whistleblower in public. So those assholes knew who I was. That's what I'd like to think I would do. But I'm not in that position. I can only tell you what I think I would do. But you're going to hear this a lot in the upcoming months. I was only doing my job. To hell with your job. They weaponized the U.S. government against U.S. citizens. That can never happen again. I mean, they're so scared that they plot to assassinate our president. And I'm pretty sure that young man that did this in Pennsylvania, because you don't see no information on him. He has no social media history. Bullshit. The government wiped it. You see him in commercials for BlackRock. I'm almost positive that that young man was brainwashed into believing that he was doing the right thing. He was a scapegoat because they knew if he didn't succeed, or even if he did succeed, he would not leave the roof of that building. How you doing, Ann? I'll check that out, Betty. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to talk about abandoning the ship. We're also going to talk about some serious things. If you go to Google Trends, you can bring up what I'm getting ready to talk about. When, like I said, I was not planning on doing this today. I did one early this morning, and I would have a few things to do today, but I seen a few things like this press conference, and I have to say I had a roller coaster of emotions today. Like I said, I don't know much about the Proud Boys. I know it. Proud Boys started out kind of as a joke, as being sexist, old Neanderthal type real men, uh, kind of combating the U2 movement and the woke uh, atmosphere or trend. But then they organized and decided to do something more than just that. They decided to be the alternative to the protesting that Antifa and BLM and all of them are doing. Those groups were anti-American, and the Proud Boys were proud to be an American. So I was watching this press conference, and the more of the stories that I heard, the the madder I got. But retribution is coming. Can't put most of them in prison, but they can be sued. Not only that, the Proud Boys not only talked about themselves, they talked about the people they met in prison that were in there for political reasons that we don't hear about. We don't know their stories. Somehow they got picked up, thrown in prison, convicted of whatever crime against the government, and most of us don't even know about it. But the Proud Boys, they're starting to mention names. They're going to go and try to plead to the President of the United States to see if he can help these individuals. And that's a good thing. Yeah, Rusty, protest participation is down. You know why? Because the money is drying up. These are all professional protesters back when BLM and Antifa was going crazy all over the country. They were getting paid to protest. They were getting hotel rooms, food, transportation. It was organized. Skids of bricks were dropped off in different locations. Box trucks pulled up with all the signs and the sticks that they carried. It was paid protesting, but retribution is here. A lot of that stuff ain't happening because the money's not there. So let's go after the people who supplied that money. Our own government, our congressmen and women, our senators, our governors, even in my town, our mayor. You think they're here for us. They are not. I've always been a proud American. I've always thought this was the greatest country on earth. I still do, because when the government rises up and it commits tyranny against its people, Very few countries, except for ours, has the ability to push back. Some will pay the price. Ask the J6ers. They wasn't there to commit resurrection. As a matter of fact, one of the stories that the Proud Boys were talking about was they were not doing anything wrong, and all of a sudden the Capitol Police started firing into the crowd. They seen a 6 foot something Capitol policeman punch a woman dead in the face and knocked her out. He said that's when the crowd kind of went a little crazy. So they were provoked. They wasn't there to commit insurrection. They were angry because our Capitol Police was doing something that wasn't necessary. And then you seen a few of the Capitol Police, and they were already proven since then to be lying on the stand when they were giving their testimonies to the J6 committee, but they're pardoned. Hey, Bill. Yeah, I'm getting to that. Kash Patel got sworn in today. But I wanted to just say that's what I'm starting out with this. I started out with anger. But hopefully the J6ers will get their retribution. Then I went to extreme pride. I went from anger to being proud. And I got a little emotional because I was really pulling for Kash Patel to get his nomination to be confirmed. And it took not just Kash Patel to be in there, but Pam Bondi is an, a necessary person to be in place because it's going to take all these people to weed out the corruption in their individual departments. And they're going to have to stand strong. They're going to have to be a team because the deep state is much larger than we'd like to believe. And it's like telling a kid there's no Santa Claus. You think all these people are here for you. The rule of law for the US citizen who pays their taxes, follows the law, and expects their government to do the right thing. Yeah, Betty, I am a huge Doge fan, and that is what kicked a lot of this off. But Kash Patel got sworn in, got emotional. I did because I felt like things are starting to fall into place. Because there's some people who are very, very scared right now. I mean, Merrick Garland, scared, although not going to go to jail, pardoned. Chris Ray. Chris Ray's a piece of shit. Merrick Garland's a piece of shit, but Merrick Garland's part of the Biden administration. Chris Ray was not. You expect you want the head of the FBI to be independent from politics, but he wasn't. Then the left making such a big deal that Kash Patel is loyal to the president. Good. You expect all the people that you nominate to be loyal to you. Not loyal as in breaking the law, but loyal as in not plotting against you. Not asking your subordinates to do things such as breaking the law and act like they're doing it for the country. Because President Trump is so dangerous. constitutional crisis. We have Hitler in office. We got a dictator now. Oh my God. Y'all tired of hearing that? I am. So, Kash Patel, I think the dominoes are going to start to fall now. He's got everybody in place that will crack that egg, and people are going to start. Some are not pardoned, by the way. There's a lot of subordinates that did the dirty work that didn't get pardoned. Just the people who coordinated it are pardoned. But even those who have been pardoned can still be sued. You can't take their freedom, take their money, because we're talking about some very rich individuals. One of the biggest masterminds, and I mean, we all talk about the regular people like Adam Schiff, who's a piece of shit, you know, Jamie Raskin. But who do they answer to? Even though Nancy Pelosi is not in the Senate, she has a lot of power. She controlled what happened on January 6th. She was offered by the president National Guard to help beef up because they knew there was going to be a lot of people there that day. I was supposed to be there that day. Now I'm handicapped. I'd have been rolling around in a mobile scooter. I would not have made it up into the Capitol. Uh, but I would have probably traveled down towards that area to check out peaceful protesting. Nancy Pelosi got exactly what she wanted. She wanted that to be escalated into what it was. I mean, we had 23, 26 FBI. They say they're not FBI agents, but they were FBI informants, FBI insurgents to ag on the crowd, to try to get them in a frenzy, telling people it's your constitutional right to go in there and stop this illegitimate process going on. Stop Vice President Pence. It's crazy. But that wasn't the whole story. When I sat and listened to that press conference, they were motivated by something different than somebody trying to tell them to go in and stop the process. They were angered by the Capitol Police and what some of them were doing. And anybody who knows anything about the Proud Boys, they just don't take it lying down. They see something, they have no problem jumping in and being physical. But yet, when you seen the news back when all these protests were going on, all you heard about was the Proud Boys getting in fights. You never heard about Antifa beating up cops, starting fights with the Proud Boys. It was always what the Proud Boys were doing, not what Antifa and them were doing to the Proud Boys. Because they set that narrative. They put the story in place. So I'm a Proud Boys supporter today. I'm with them when they talk about retribution is coming. But people like Nancy Pelosi won't be held accountable as far as freedom. but she's rich. So if you can't take their freedom, take their money. Now she's so rich, they're not going to take all their money. But to get anything from her would be a slap in her face because she thinks she's above the law. I hate that when the Democrats say it, no one's above the law. Well, they seem to think they are. They seem to think if they do it for their moral reasons, do whatever's necessary, any means necessary. Y'all have heard that term before. That's exactly how they see it. Any means necessary, as long as it promotes their ideology, not yours. But retribution's here. It's, if it's not here yet, it's coming. It starts today by that press conference. Francis, if you go and you can find it, I found it. It was live at the time when I seen it, but you can find it on YouTube. It's a press conference the Proud Boys held today, talking about the J6 or hostages is how I'm gonna phrase them because that's what they was. People getting 15 years in prison, 3 years, 4 years for trespassing. Trespassing. Anybody who sees and knows what these people's charges was and then what they were actually found guilty of. And then you seen their sentences. You have to know that that was politically motivated. Because those kind of sentences, it's like look at Trump and his multiple felonies. You look what he was charged with and what they said he was guilty of, and then they want to throw him in jail for several years. Politically motivated. That's cool, Rusty. I would actually like to meet some of them. I really would. I'd like to get interview some of them. And I know I'm nobody. I am nothing compared to the reach that so many people that I follow have. I am nothing. I'm a nobody. But I would like to throw my support in there for what the Proud Boys are trying to do now. Not only are they trying to hold the people accountable that did this, but also be a voice for some of the political prisoners that are still in prison that wasn't had nothing to do with J6, but they met them while they were in there, and they felt for them, and they promised when they got out that they would do whatever it takes for their stories to be heard. There's something to be said for that. So I went from being angry to having an overwhelming sense of joy and satisfaction because I seen that, and then I watched Kash Patel being sworn in by Pam Bondi. You know, the head of the Capitol Police was uh, Nancy Pelosi's little minion. They actually probably had conversations about not accepting the National Guard. So the Capitol Police, the head of the Capitol Police, literally threw his people under the bus. They were hoping it would get out of control. They set things in place that put things in motion that made that so that day. But that's okay. Retribution is a wonderful word. Now, it doesn't mean something that you're just trying to make them a political pawn, as they did those people. Retribution. These people need to be held accountable legally through a legal process. If they can't go to jail, they can be sued. The Capitol Police, the ones who got on the stand at the J6 hearings and lied, they're not rich like Nancy Pelosi and them. But for their lies and deceit, their lives need to be, I'm not going to say destroyed, but their lives need to be heavenly, heavenly, heavily compromised because they're not going to go to jail because they're pardoned. But their lives, their personal life needs to be uncomfortable. Just of all the J6ers, a lot of lives ruined, homes lost, families lost, lives lost. I'm on. I can't say the word because I'm on YouTube, but people who was so distraught over going to prison for something like this unalived themselves. You can't take that back. You never would think that your government would do this to you, especially the United States government. I was naive for a long time. I even got called a pussy the other day because they said I didn't do my part to keep this government that's in place now from happening. I voted. I thought I was voting the right people in. That's what most Americans do when it's to do the right thing. You go to work, you raise your kids, you don't break the law, and you vote your conscience. That's what it is to be an American. So I kind of took a little offense to be called a pussy by somebody that don't know me, but that's okay. As I explained to that individual, I did what I thought average Americans should do. I was nobody special. I wasn't, you know, a public speaker running for any office. I worked with my hands in skilled trades. I wasn't no college educated brain type individual. I was just an average American. But those days are gone. I don't have much of a voice. I really don't. But what I do have, I will speak truth. What's up, Stephanie? How you doing? That's right, Rusty. The leader of the Proud Boys wasn't even there. And if you read his text messages, which they was brought in as evidence, all it said is go forward and let yourself be known. Be proud that you're there as a proud boy, basically. And he got 15 years for that. Is that crazy or not? That's crazy. 15 years for that. But all of the government now is not against us. For once, we have people that are head of these departments that are going to weed out the corruption. Some of these people may not go to jail, but they're going to lose their jobs. So if you can't take their freedom, take their money. Retribution. It's coming. So I mentioned earlier this week about the spike, the Google trend in the DC area around Virginia, Maryland, of criminal lawyers being Google searched. I never thought about some other things that were spiking in Google trend. One of them, and I'm going to say it one time, and I hope I don't get nailed by the YouTube police. But one of the other large spikes in Google search was suicide. Why would that be spiking in the DC area? Are these people, have they done something so wrong to the American public that, as some of the people who the federal government was going after for being there on January 6th were so afraid of losing their freedom that they unalived themselves? Is that what some of these government criminals are thinking of now? Because they're not going to be able to face the retribution. Because not everybody got pardoned. There's all these people who did the dirty work that are not pardoned. So they're going to pay for just doing their job. That's what they'll tell you. I was just doing my job. Too fucking bad. You should have quit your job. You should have been a whistleblower. You went along with it. You probably agreed with it. Now, I don't wish anybody to unalive themselves over this. But if you've done something so wrong that you're afraid to go to prison over it and you're not pardoned, the truth's going to come out. Everybody that's responsible for this whole last 4 years of just going after the American public, telling parents that they're domestic terrorists because they have a problem with their school, telling people who went to see a president speak at a rally on January 6th and a protest developed in front of the Capitol and it turned into a riot. And then they all got charged for insurrection instead of just getting charged for what just about everybody else gets charged for when a protest gets out of hand. They get charged for the property they damaged. They get charged if they assault a police officer. Well, most of them should. A lot of them didn't. If you was Antifa or BLM or somebody, you didn't really get charged. But that would be the expectation of it, not to be charged with insurrection. Tammy, is the stimulus real? Elon Musk did give that proposal to the president, but he's going to have to take all that they have found to Congress because Congress is the purse of the nation. And they're going to have to show them these things that they want removed from being paid for. And with a large amount of money that Elon Musk said he is finding that's fraud, waste, and abuse, 20% of that he said would go a long way to give them back to the American taxpayer, which they said averaged somewhere around $5,000 per taxpayer. Then you've seen, I can't think of her name. She's a new congresswoman on the Democrat side. She is a big voice, and fighting against Doge doing their job. She's one of the people that is speaking the loudest, talking about Elon Musk not being an elected official, which he does not have to be, or this is a constitutional crisis, or what they're doing is racist because they're wanting to remove DEI. DEI is racist. There's been things in place that helps minorities since the 60s. DEI was not necessary. DEI was, in my opinion, uh, reverse racism. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Mike Johnson is trying to stop that. Okay. Well, I'll have a further story then, Rusty, on that. I'll dig into that, and I will put Mike Johnson on blast in a future segment, and we will dig into because Mike Johnson's not a brave man. He is not a Trump supporter. He does whatever it takes to go along to get along. Y'all probably know that. Why would he want to stop that? I'll find that out. I'll look into it. Getting a Beverly getting a $5,000 refund for money that's already allocated. It's already in this budget of this past year. Getting and they said it's 20% of of what they found in savings. So 80% is going to go back to the government to keep the debt from getting higher or pay into the debt. So to give the American public a little bit of relief, 20% of what they found, which they said averaged about $5,000 per taxpayer. The young lady, the Democrat congresswoman, she got on TV and said that $5,000 wouldn't help anybody. Are they nuts? How many of y'all could use $5,000? There's so much of the American public right now because of inflation. Usually, they say a good rule of thumb is to have $1,000 in the bank for emergencies. It's more than that anymore. Really, you need about $2,500 in the bank. Because if say you have a transmission go out on a car and you have a newer vehicle, it's minimum $1,300 plus. So, average American should have $2,500 for emergencies. Most don't. So that $5,000 would not uh, go towards raising inflation. It would be put back into the economy, which actually stabilizes inflation. Believe it or not. So you can look it up. The economists will tell you, not the Democratic economist, obviously the other side that'll tell you the truth. Yeah, Francis. So many, and I wouldn't get 5 grand. I mean, I don't. My income's so low that I don't even got to file taxes because I'm on disability. So I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't get that 5 grand. It sure would be nice to have, but it's fine. There's people out there that are working every day, busting their ass, can't get ahead because they can't keep up with inflation. None of us can for the most part, unless you have an extremely good job. And most jobs, the average American has average pay. You know, when I worked before I was disabled, I made $31 an hour, which was above average for a you know high school educated individual, not a college graduate. So $31 an hour, but I had a skilled trade. The job I had was very stressful. I had 27 people under me in my department. So I kind of earned my money. 5:30 in the morning till 7 p.m. at night was my average day. And I was responsible for millions of dollars of equipment. But I don't have that anymore. So I can relate to average income trying to get by And yeah, $5,000 would be go a long way to help a lot of people. Francis, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm 60 and I'm retired before my time, but I'm retired, uh, dis- disabled. So it's the same. When you live on that level of income, you don't make enough to pay taxes like everybody else anymore. Yeah, Grant, that's what I'm saying. Average person cannot keep up. It's the last 4 years. The last 4 years is probably the hardest 4 years I've ever seen in my lifetime. But let's get back to the Google trends. So you had number one, criminal lawyers. Number two was suicide. That's disturbing. Number three was they Googled layoffs because of all these employees that basically are right now they're officially laid off until they figure out what size of government is needed as far as government employees going forward. I don't feel sorry for these people losing their jobs. I mean, there's people who just got started and they're going to lose their jobs. And I seen somebody saying that they're not a DEI hire, but they lost their job because of DEI. Uh, the President Trump's, you know, signing the executive order against DEI and the federal government of all job positions. That person, just because she's not a DEI hire, she was in her probationary period. Not everybody losing their job, they're going to consider got their jobs because of DEI. A lot of these jobs are going away because so many of them are not doing a full day's work, a full week's work. They don't have to show up at their office most days. They're allowed to work from home. And the funny thing is they can't help themselves but get on social media and brag about I don't have any meetings today. I don't have to do any work. I'm going to go fishing and I'm going to get paid for it because I'm a government employee. Well, I know in my position, I work 5:30 in the morning till 7 p.m. at night. I work 5.5 days a week. These government employees barely work 3 days a week. That means they don't need that many people draining our national budget by paying their wages to do nothing. Elon Musk proved it when he bought Twitter. Removed 75% of the employees. Everybody said, you'll never be able to run this monster with 25% of the employees. Well, he changed the name from Twitter to X. I think X is doing just fine. 25% of the employees that what used to work there. Imagine how much money he saved. He's seeing that same pattern with government employees. How much is not needed? Yeah, Rusty, I'm going to look into Mike Johnson on what you're talking about there. I'll talk about it in another segment. May talk about it on the live session Sunday. So third was layoffs. Understandable. That's not really a unreasonable search that would be spiking in Google Trend. But that search for unaliving yourself, that spiked from 0 to 82% starting February 5th of this month. Why? There's some people that are in fear of going to jail because they know they did something wrong. He did only keep 25% of the employees. That's what I said. He got rid of 75% of the employees of Twitter, only kept 25%. They're doing just fine. He proved how much waste goes into a bloated employment role. The next Google trend is fraud. Fraud went from 0 to 100 in Google searches starting February 1st. Fraud. What are they afraid of? Retribution. Full and complete legal retribution. Because not all of them got pardoned. The people who orchestrated it got pardoned, but not the soldiers that did the dirty work. That'll tell you going forward when they get brought out into the public of what they did. Because sometimes if you can't get them in the courtroom, public opinion will do the rest. Francis, some people are afraid to go to prison. That's kind of what happened to some of the J6ers. They were facing prison and they were felt so unjustly prosecuted, but still going to prison was inevitable, and they couldn't handle being locked up. Because these people didn't just get locked up, they were thrown in isolation. They were deprived of most rights that a usually a typical prisoner of this country gets. They were basically tortured. They were treated horribly for political reasons. So yeah, some people that knows the system and is afraid of the system, especially if you're in the law enforcement, going to prison is an unsafe future for those people because being in the police department, Capitol Police, FBI, Department of Justice, these people would not hold well in the correction facilities of this country. Yeah, Stephanie, that's it. It's hopelessness and guilt. They know they're guilty. They thought their bosses who orchestrated this had their back, would protect them. Not all got pardoned because if they was really going to be protected, they would have took these names to the president and said, these people need to be pardoned too because they helped us out, wink, wink. I don't think we're going to be replaced by migrants as much as you think they're troll. All these government employees will be needing work. All these jobs that they claim Americans won't take because they're either too lazy or too drug addicted. You got all these hard working government employees that are going to be out of a job. They can fulfill those positions. Problem solved. You got all the because there's going to be a lot of people. A lot of people. Think about that. Elon Musk said a minimum of 200,000 employees. I think that'll fill a lot of open jobs. And also, some of these people are going to get deported that's been here under temporary protective status and all that are losing their statuses because they're about to run out. I seen somebody said that they're already been revoked by the president, but I think that they have to go by a date that was already promised them. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but they're losing it no matter what because it ends. It was temporary protective status. That means there's a date when that ends. It's not forever. So these job positions that these people are in are going to be open again. There'll be a government employee needing a job near you. Help them out. Steer them in the right direction. Tell them to go apply at the temp services. They'll keep you working. Yeah, Rusty. I'll look into that. I did see something about that. Tim Pool. I watched Tim Pool. Tim Pool's one of my favorite people. Uh, yeah, because he was complaining about that in the state that he's in. So he's real passionate about that subject. So I'll look into that. We'll talk about that on the on Sunday Live. You know what else is trending in the DC area? Homes for sale. You know why? Because they seen the writing on the wall. They seen that what's coming doesn't benefit them at all because they haven't benefited the U.S. citizen in a very, very long time. Katie, they'll structure it. They're not. Here's the thing. They are going to. It's like scorched earth right now. You're seeing so much stuff happening. They're listing so many things that are uh, stupid little pet projects that the Democrats have put out there to in ways of spending the U.S. Taxpayers' money. Uh, when it's all said and done, they're going to take each department as separate and as a whole and figure out exactly what they need when it comes to needing employees or not needing employees. They may not need employees in the Social Security. They may need just to upgrade the system because so much of our government is running on an antiquated system. That's why their checks and balances is out of whack because they're running on a system that is decades old, and it's going to take tech giants like Elon Musk to help us out. And I say help us because he's helping the American people. I truly believe that. People like don't trust Elon Musk. He, in my opinion, history will be kind to him as far as being a patriot. So we just got to give it time, see how it plays out. But for all these people for the last 4 years that has made most of our lives, and we can't even compare to what the J6ers went through or anything like that, but has made most of our lives hell, and in some cases, real hell. But retribution is here, or it's coming. Yeah, Katie, I like Musk too. That's why I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt until I see something. But I also don't give them 100% trust anymore because I used to give the government that because I went to work and expected the government as a whole would do right by me. We now know that's not true, and it just depends. And it doesn't depend on which party's in power. It depends on which individual is in power, and it starts with the presidency. First 4 years, the swamp was beating President Trump. He was making small waves. This time, he's a tsunami, and they can't handle it. He's learned a lot. He thought about this. He planned this. He made sure that he had anybody and everybody he needed in place that was loyal to his, not necessarily to him, but to his mission. So when I say he put everybody in place that's loyal to him, which is what most presidents do, he put people in place who is loyal to the mission. And that's what we needed. Finally, people that we, at least I feel comfortable, are going to be my voice in the government, in the legal sector. Yeah, Rusty, I can't wait to see what happens in Fort Knox. I did a segment. I don't know if y'all seen it earlier this morning, but they only are saying they're valuing the gold at $42.22 an ounce, and there's like 147 point something uh, billion ounces. Anyway, to come out to $6.2 billion worth of gold at 42.22. But if you go by what the value of gold is right now, it truly is a value of like 434 billion 600 and something uh, $1,000,000. 434 billion, not 6.3 billion or 2 billion. Why do they value it at 42.22 an ounce? That don't make sense to me. And I'm not a smart man. I'm not an economic genius. I don't know why they would do that. There's got to be a reason for that. It I just need somebody to help me make sense of that because to me it don't make sense. If I have a piece of gold, let's say I purchased it when gold was only 42.22 an ounce, I would want what the value of it is today. That's the whole idea of holding on to something that's an investment. It's kind of like Bitcoin. There's a lot of people who bought Bitcoin when it was less than $5 a coin. Now look what it is. It's up what, right around the price of gold. Imagine if you bought a couple $100 worth of Bitcoin at $4 a coin back when it first got going. How much money do you have now? So if the gold was put there, let's say when it was at 42.22 an ounce, why are they still valuing it at 42.22 an ounce? Hopefully, I'll get the answers soon. Right now, I don't know what that answer is, and so far, nobody's really been able to explain it to me. But hopefully Elon Musk and them will be able to explain it to the American public, because I'm sure if there's a good reason that's still being valued at that, we'll know, or they will correct it and make our gold standing the actual value that it really should be. Because, back in the day, our money was backed by gold. It was a gold standard. Now it's backed by oil. That's why the U.S. dollar is traded over uh, oil, because oil is the gold of the world now. So when you trade in oil, you trade in the U.S. dollar. That's what makes the U.S. dollar valued more than most. But China's trying to stop that. Russia's trying to stop that. They're all trying to get their currency as the trading currency for oil. They were working on it. Our government was helping them. The globalist pieces of shit that ran our government was more than happy to not have the U.S. dollar as the trade standard for oil. So saying that, guys, I just had to, when I seen that press conference today, I was getting so angry, and I was feeling empathy for these people. I mean, they didn't go into their whole stories, but they did explain a little bit of why they were doing what they were doing, and the remaining political prisoners that are still in prison. Then I seen Kash Patel get sworn in by Pam Bondi. I'm thinking it's all in place. It's all there. People are going to have to start checking these Google trends out, because retribution, legal retribution, is coming. So, guys, unless something interesting needs to be spoke about, you'll catch me tomorrow night on Saturday Free for All on Rumble with Killer Carl. Join in, hang out. 7:30. It's Carl and I, and John Frederick's conservative network. His producer Tyler joins in, and we're just three adult juveniles talking about politics and being silly and ignorant. It's a good time. I, I enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things. Uh, I wish I had that kind of a thing on my live, because most of you guys that come and listen to my or watch my live, it's just me rambling. You know, it is what it is. So join us on Saturday. If not, join me Sunday night, 7 p.m. on my Empty Pockets Garage channel, my Jimmy Pockets channel. And then this Sunday, starting at 8 o'clock, I have a Rumble channel now called Empty Pockets Podcast. Uh, I'm trying to get everybody, this just a 30-day countdown to where I will no longer do political commentary on my Empty Pockets Garage channel. That's a car content channel. It was never meant to be this. But this is where most of my subscribers are, and I feel like I need to reach out to as many people as I can that will listen to me. So I'm hoping you guys will follow me. If you still want to just follow me on YouTube, follow me on Jimmy Pockets. If you like Rumble, every Sunday I'm going to do live stream. Like I said, I'm doing a 30-day countdown. I'm getting rid of it on my car channel, but I'll be doing it on Jimmy Pockets. And I'm going to do the first hour on YouTube, and then I'm going to kill the YouTube feed and finish it up on Rumble on my Empty Pockets podcast. So go over to Rumble and give me a follow. If you don't subscribe to me on the Jimmy Pockets channel, for everybody that sees me on Empty Pockets Garage, give me a subscription to Jimmy Pockets and give me a thumbs up. You know, I never promote myself this way, uh, but that's how the algorithms, I guess, work. Thumbs up help. Subscribers help, but it's all about who's watching. It don't necessarily have to be a subscriber, but the thumbs up helps on the algorithms. Share this. Share it with somebody you think might have some value in what I got to say. Don't know if you do or don't. I try to be value. I don't know if I am or not. I'm just a regular guy who rambles on about stuff he's concerned about and has an opinion on. So, but that Rusty, you'll be in Flint on the 18th to Dust 'em Off Car Show. Uh, that's cool. You know, I can't. I used to travel around to the car shows, Rusty, but I can't hardly do it no more. For one, I can't afford it, and two, I'd have to transport. Like, I live in Ohio, and it's Flint, Michigan's kind of up there a little bit for me. You know, hauling around your scooter on the back of your car because I got one of those little carrier rounds that hooks into the trailer hitch. I just don't want to have to carry it around. I don't. I still feel strange riding a mobile scooter. It's one of those brain things, I guess. You don't want to admit that you're disabled, but you got to sometimes. Got to start hoarding myself. Yeah, Rusty. Yeah, you're probably right. Some of us would just call it self-promoting. Katie, it ain't just Flint. I live in Springfield, Ohio, a town of 57, little over 57,000 people that absorbed a little over 20,000 added uh, by this temporary protective status. So we had 20,000 plus Haitians move in less than a 3-year period, uh, and they can't drive. They don't get held accountable for anything. None of these people are probably on the deportation list for ICE because they don't have a criminal record. When they break the law here, it gets wiped clean. I've showed videos where I've proven that. Thanks, Dale. I appreciate that. Rusty, hey, I'd love to have you, man. Maybe go out to eat. You got a fancy ride you can cruise around in. I'll go cruising with you. If you know my car channel, you know my ride is still up on jack stands, tore apart with no floor in it, no engine and tranny in it because it's a big, major project. But you know, we go cruising around in my Challenger. Uh, If if that's not beneath you, Rusty, I mean, you know, riding in a newer vehicle, that's a huge drop there, Katie. All right, guys. I love reading the chat. I like engaging in the chat, but we got to save this stuff for the lives on Sunday, or if you join us on Rumble on Saturday night. So give me a follow on Rumble. Subscribe to me on Jimmy Pockets. If you like the car tent, stay subscribed to me on Empty Pockets Garage. But The countdown started yesterday. Doing a 30-day countdown. I will no longer be doing this on my car channel. So I'll mention it every time I'm doing this. So people will have plenty of opportunity to take the time to go and subscribe and follow these other two channels. We don't have no stray cats. It was never a dog issue. I don't know how that came to be where they were talking about eating the cats and the dogs, Rusty. It was just the cats. The cats is an official story. It's not a lie. It's not a. They said it just to sensationalize Springfield, Ohio, to make awareness to the other problems. Uh, the Canadian geese being killed and taken from the parks, real story, not fake. Cats, we have an uptick since the Haitians come here of reports of missing pets. But if you ever heard our officials on these legacy media outlets, they don't know nothing about that. There's no proof of that. Never happened. Lies. There was reports on that. There's two official reports on the Canadian geese being seen taken from the parks by the Haitians. She won't hear that on mainstream news, but you can hear it here. And there is official reports on this. That you don't have to take my word for it. The internet's a wonderful thing. Stuff like that is on the internet. One report is with the local police department, and the second report is with our uh, Parks and Recreation Wildlife game warden. Was the second report, because that individual was a government employee who's seen this happen on her way to work, and the local police department told her it wasn't their problem, that she needed to make a report to the park uh, game warden, the Parks and Recreation and Wildlife, and she did. And what's funny about all that, I'll go over it one more time before I get off here. One individual, this is the thing, these happened at early hours of the morning. One individual was riding a bike to work and come upon four people snatching geese under blankets and snapping their necks and carrying them to an SUV. And he was coming through a bike path, was actually a walking path, but he was riding a bike, but it's big enough for a bike. But anyways, he knew they were Haitian because he could hear them talk. They were speaking Creole. He was on his cell phone, made a report, apologized that he couldn't stay there till the police got there because it was his first day on the job and he could not miss it. He could not be late. He apologized to the 911 operator. This is record, public record, about the four individuals killing four Canadian geese in our park. 3 months before that, a government worker is driving through the park, shortcut, getting to where she works off Lagunda Avenue, called the police, told the police there's two individuals chasing the geese and tackling them and doing something to them that made the geese go limp under their blankets. That was her statement to the police. The police said, the 911 operator said, it's not our problem. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't a 911 operator. She had, because she's a government worker, she had a regular line into the police department itself. Whoever she talked to was probably at the front desk, and they told her it was not a problem for the police, that she needed to call the Parks and Recreation Wildlife game warden, and she did. Now, these reports were 3 months apart by two different people that don't know each other, and both saying almost damn near the same thing. But our mayor and other officials said it didn't happen. There's no proof. Just like all the reports of the missing cats. Didn't happen. There's no proof. City employees reported these things about the animals. Plumbers, uh, people who worked to do repairs to these rentals where all these bunkhouses are, talked about the cat remains they found in the basement when they were doing plumbing work at these houses. Reported it. You don't hear about that, do you? Yeah, Rusty. I engage with you guys in chat. I always tell you, if we're engaging, I'll stay until we're done. A lot of people can't do the long form though. They'll see how long these segments are, and then they won't tune in because they ain't got that kind of time to watch it for an hour plus. That's why I've been trying to do these segments for 20 minutes or less, but it never happens, guys. Y'all so devoted. You get in here, we talk on the chat, we just keep going. I would hope that other people who ain't interested in all this other stuff that we're talking about will at least tune in for the first 15 or 20 minutes to get a gist of the story of what I'm talking about in the segment. Because we get off on other subjects. This was not a subject I was going to talk about, but you know, we get here how we get here. It is what it is. Well, Stephanie, here's the thing. How do you have okay? So these two people that were going to work 3 hours in the morning. It was barely daylight. They didn't think to take a video because one guy's on a bicycle trying to get to work first day on his job, and the other one, a woman's driving down through the park and is on her way to work too. So she did not stop and do a video. She instantly got on the phone and called an authority. And there's no videos of missing pet reports because it's not a thing you take a video of because it's just a report. Now, as far as these individuals, these plumbers and stuff, they reported it to the authorities and to their bosses. The people that own the homes are the temp service. They were given this information. There was video on some of this. It disappeared. The individuals that were doing these jobs for these rentals, these city employees who also reported it, were told to shut the fuck up if you don't want to lose your job. So what's that old saying I was just saying a little bit ago? When you talk to them about this, I was just doing my job. Deleted the video because I don't want to lose my job. Beverly, you know I'm a night owl. Uh, I was on here wee hours this morning doing a segment. We're doing one now. Y'all seen our Sunday night lives? I used to do one at 2 a.m. in the morning, 1:30 or 2 a.m. Uh, but it was got to be too much trying to have a regular life and try to get on here and do all these segments and lives. I'm not a professional. I didn't mean for this to be my job or career, but I felt like I needed to start talking, speaking out. Yeah, there you go, Rusty. Rusty will tell you. I tried to do it. I tried to be on many times, many hours of the day and night because there's. I was talking to people on the other side of the world. That's kind of why I enjoyed that 2 a.m. one because I was talking to people you normally don't talk to. Australia, New Zealand, the UK. I mean, I got people from India that log in. I get comments from. So I find that that's pretty cool. But this was never meant to be something that I was gonna do. I don't consider myself other than my car content's different. I did that for personal reasons. Not meant to ever be large enough to be monetized. I had 200 subscribers before the Haitians. So the Haitians made me famous for a little bit. There's like 15 minutes of aggravated fame if I because it wasn't really fame. Later, Tammy. So, anyways, I'm here. I'm doing it. Um, I don't really care if it grows a whole lot, although I'd like to hope that I say enough to enough people that the message gets out there. And a lot of it's not new news. It's not news you can't find anywhere else. I say nothing special that somebody else isn't saying also. I may say it a different way. I know, Beverly. I appreciate that. That's what I'm saying. This was not my intention, but I'm here. I'm I'm doing what I think I need to do. As long as people want to listen, I'll talk. I struggle with words sometimes. I'm not a smooth talker. I'm not a professional commentator. I'm not any of that. I'm just a guy who started paying attention and gets on the internet and opines about what I see and think. So, for saying that one more time, I'm going to roll up out of here, guys. But that, Tammy, you're on Rumble. Rumble is a content creator or Rumble as a viewer? Hey, Natalie, because I never considered myself a content creator, although I make videos on car stuff. I never really considered it a content creator. I just recorded my process and talked about what I was doing on my vehicle. Like I said, I had 200 subscribers. When I made my first video about the Haitians, I just assumed I was talking to my little community of people who follow me. Never thought it would be 2.3 million views. But it opened the door. I feel like I needed to walk through it. I did. And now I have 3 channels. Trying to get off this one channel, my car channel, trying to get back to doing just car content because my car guys really are missing that. They tell me all the time they want to see me work on my cars. They don't want to hear me talk about politics. And I get it. When you subscribe to something that you assume is car oriented, you don't want to open up the video and it's talking politics. But that's who I am. I'm not just a car guy. I'm involved in politics. So we're going to continue this as long as people want to listen. Will my subscribers grow on my political channel? Don't know. My Jimmy Pockets channel is not big enough to be monetized. So, you know, I'm not in it for the money. If I never get more than 1,000 subscribers, I'm fine as long as the people that are subscribing to me open up the lives. They don't have an opportunity to be there when it's live and interact with the chat. Maybe watch the recording of it and still hear the message. But that's why I'm going to Rumble too, because I filter myself so much on YouTube that I don't feel like I'm. You don't get the true personality of me on YouTube. If you ever watch Free for All Saturdays with Killer Carl with I'm on there, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not me trying to filter myself. It is just me being me. So you've heard my don't know. See, I like I said, I struggle for words sometimes, guys. You heard me talk about my other channels. So let's if you're watching me on Empty Pockets, you can see this same thing right now on Jimmy Pockets. So you can subscribe to Jimmy Pockets and you won't miss a thing. Because this is what I do on both these channels, and eventually it will not be on this car channel. It will be on Jimmy Pockets, and it'll be on Rumble. So follow me on those. Hang out with me. I think you'll enjoy Rumble far more with my message than you will just me talking on YouTube. Because on Rumble, it's unfiltered. I don't have to worry about community guidelines. So I worry about what I say on YouTube because sometimes I have to edit a portion of my stuff out, and I do it because I feel like it's worth it because I don't want to lose the whole video. I'd much rather lose a minute or so of the video so that the rest of the message can still be put out there. Yeah, Papa, follow me on Rumble, Empty Pockets Podcast. It's easy to find. Follow me on Rumble. I started out with 3 followers, and they were family members. Now I just checked this morning. I think I got 15 or 18 followers. I've been on Rumble officially for a week, and people don't find you as easy on Rumble as they can on YouTube. Uh, so you gotta pretty much promote yourself and hope that the people who follow you will tell their friends, and they'll follow you, and hopefully they'll tell some more of their friends, and they'll follow you. My friend Killer Carl has 30,000 followers on Rumble, which for Rumble, that's a very large number. So follow me on Rumble, Empty Pockets Podcast. Follow me if you don't want to do that. You like YouTube? Follow me on Jimmy Pockets. Because, like I said, once I kill the feed for Empty Pockets Garage forever, as far as political stuff, I'm still doing Sunday Night Lives on YouTube on Jimmy Pockets. And then after an hour, it's gonna be on Rumble. So that way, if you don't want to follow on Rumble, at least you'll get an hour. And it may not be exactly an hour, but you know how that is. Uh, You can watch an hour or so on YouTube, and that'll be enough for you. If not, you can switch over to Rumble, or you can watch me on Rumble for the whole thing because I'm gonna be on both of them at the same time, and then I'm gonna kill the feed on YouTube and just be on Rumble. So you can just follow me on Rumble and don't have to worry about clicking off one and clicking on the other. I'm making it easy for you people. So, anyways, my name's James. I am Empty Pockets Garage. Till next time, I am out of here.